So when parents used to come, you'd pick them from the gate, you go to the notice board, they see how you performed, and then you go now to have food. So I go pick my parents, we go to the notice board, of course, in their own high expectation of me. In our class-wise, they didn't start at the top. They said, okay, let's start at the bottom and just see how the average performance is. And to their surprise, to his surprise, actually, I can't forget his view. Mm.
CTA with Kenneth, video 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of The Playhouse. As promised, we said we're going to do 100 CTA, 100 leadership conversations within the space of 2025. And we are on it. This is our 4th of the year. Still got a long way to go, but we're extremely happy about where it is that we are right now. I'm so excited for you because you get to hear the conversation of a young man. And I use the word young because I am absolutely in awe with how much he has been able to accomplish at the age that he is. This is a story that's going to be inspirational for days. This is a story that's going to motivate you on your journey. This is a story, a leadership journey that you're going to extract a lot of value on. Behind the scenes, we've just been having a conversation with him, and already I've told him, I love how his brain thinks. He's intelligent, he has a third-degree perspective. I'm sure there's so much more that I don't even know that I'm about to find out. Our tagline on this show is that you never truly know people until you take the time out to get to know people. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Kenneth, or is it Ken Mbae? That intro we do to loosen you up.
That's okay. That's somebody.
Now you're talking to me.
Yes.
If you want to talk to these guys, wako hapo kwa hiyo ndio kamera yako. If you want to say something directly to anybody. Okay. But me and you are having a conversation.
Okay, so we're having a conversation. Yes, yes.
You know, I can see the difference in having conversations with leaders and with other people. Leaders, time is a very valuable thing. Time for you guys is a very valuable thing. And it's forcing me to adjust how I do my CTAs to accommodate how you guys do. Time is money, you're busy, you're changing this world, and you're impacting. Welcome to CTA Ken Mbae. Ken or Kenneth?
Kenneth.
Ken.
Yeah.
So let's start this conversation. So relax, loosen up, me and you are talking.
Yes.
My first question for you, and the only question that I come here with, is when were you born? And where?
I was born in 1987 in Nanyuki. And I grew up there, went to school in the environs of Mount Kenya, came to campus. Actually, I came to Nairobi as a result of higher education. Yeah. And I ended up working in Nairobi. And from there, I've been to every part of the world. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you why this thing takes a whole day. Our pace here, I love extracting the value because I believe the foundational and the form are very formative to make you who you are.
Yeah.
And already there's things that I can tell about you, not just from the small interaction that I've had of you. For example, I can tell you're a no-nonsense person. You're a hard worker. You're a person who gets things done. Tell me about Nanyuki growing up very early. Are you the firstborn? Paint a picture of that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a firstborn of 3. I have a sister and a younger brother. Mm-hmm. My father was a teacher. My mom used to work for a raw farm. Mm-hmm. And we grew up in Nanyuki. I did my primary school, and then at the age of, when I was in class 5, I was sent to a boarding school. That was standard.
Goja. So family still, I want to know about this place. So Nanyuki, I know Nanyuki very well. I know my aunt's sides, the British barracks. I know this other side of Rustic or Rustic.
Yes.
Where exactly in Nanyuki are you living at that time? What's the place called?
The place is called Kangaita. Mm. It's next to the military barracks.
Oh, nice.
And bordering the forest.
Okay.
That's where we grew up. When I was young, we focused on being given assignments to do. I have never heard my mother say, today is time to rest. So when I was a bit young, you go to school, you come back, you go to graze goats or cows. You look after something.
Wow.
Then depending on the season, whether it's a planting season, wheat harvesting season, you had assignments that you expected to do. And then they were so strict on discipline. So when you ran pro on discipline levels, then that was brought to acceptable levels. And maybe that's how we grew, and maybe that's why I look a bit stern.
So again, I'm going back to this. 87 is quite a long time ago. Already that side of the barracks, it's already, there's no really development there, to be honest. If am I right?
Yes.
It's because you're talking after the town, that side past the British barracks. And then now into the KD. Is that where you lived?
Yeah, so you're in Nanyuki town. You take your right, like you're going to the military barracks.
Yes.
You go past Nanyuki High.
Yeah.
And then just before you get to the barracks, you take a right turn, and that's how you access the village.
Okay.
But I think my grandfather had immigrated from Meru and acquired parcels of land there. And that's how my parents ended up there. But my dad was teaching in a local school, and my mom used to work in Nanyuki town.
Your mom sounds like she was very stern.
Even now she is. After she watches this interview, she'll have a couple of edits of what I should have done.
I love it. Okay. So what's a relationship like? What's the difference between you and your siblings in age?
So there's a 2-year difference between me and my sister, though she thinks I'm still younger than her. And then there's a 5-year difference between me and my brother.
Yeah.
So we are closely, the age gap is not as much. I was born in 87, my sister in 89, and my brother in 1992. So the age difference is not much. We are sort of a close-knit family. They work in Nanyuki, I work in Nairobi, and we do a bit of business together.
I love it. So what I've not told you is that this young man, brilliant mind, is actually the MD of Centum RE. I sometimes like holding out titles so that people can get to understand the holistic human being and then how you got to be there. But for you, I want to throw in some questions of not just your life, but the area that you work in, which is you're in this whole world of real estate. Right now, there's a Nairobi-Nanyuki migration. So just from now, I'm sort of moving away into your life and I'll come back into your life. What is it that is making Nanyuki such a valuable place? Because Nanyuki in 1987 wasn't the Nanyuki that is now. A lot of people are living in Nairobi. What is it that is making people go there?
So I think Nanyuki has been special. As you know, the history of Kenya, that's where the railway map got lost in the 1900s. So I think they were building the railway all the way to Isiolo or something. And when they got to Nanyuki, the life was so nice. the engineer who had the map, that's what I hear. He got lost somewhere in the quarters, and the railway never carried on.
Yeah.
But the uniqueness of it, it's a cosmopolitan town where there is a lot of disposable income. Sort of, there's the military, there's the police, there's the ranches, the farms that are there. There's the British forces. So there's a lot of economic activity that is being done there. And the uniqueness of it having been in close proximity to various tourist destinations also helps with people paying attention to it. Now, what has happened over time, because of the road connectivity to Nanyuki, it's quite straightforward that it's a 3-hour drive if you're careful on the road. So people can quickly go to Nanyuki and come back. You can also fly there. People have been expanding to that part of town. Yeah. Okay.
So road development, cosmopolitanness, all the different things is what's making it valuable.
Yes.
Okay. This is going to be a class and session as well, intertwined in his life story. Okay, I'm understanding this puzzle of yours of home. Just one last piece that I want to understand. Tell me a little bit about your father. You're just saying he's a teacher, but you're a bit I want to hear more about him to understand.
So my father, Mizre, so rest in peace, he passed on in 2006 when I was in campus, first year. He taught me many life principles and how to think, how to approach life, how to become. Maybe this I draw from him. And I can draw various things. He was in the community when people have an organization. He was always the Secretary General. So a group of 10 would meet for a water, say, project. They would say they have the Secretary General. Where are the other sort of members?
Yes.
So he was the custodian of documents. So from an early age, he taught us how to sort of read, not be bright, but just read and tell stories. Then I remember when I was in class 5, there are many instances, but in class 5, it makes me happy because I was shipped to a boarding school, our radio visitation in Timau. And when I went there, I think the following week, we did a midterm exam, or midpoint before the visiting day came, exam. And I sort of did not agree with the examiner. So I was number 48 out of 48.
Whoa.
Now, the interesting part is I didn't see anything big. I think I had 648 marks out of 1,100, so I can't forget. So when parents used to come, you'd pick them from the gate. You go to the notice board, they see how you performed, and then you go now to have food. So I go pick my parents, we go to the notice board. Of course, in their own high expectation of me, in our class 5, they didn't start at the top. They said, okay, let's start at the bottom and just see how the average performance is. And to their surprise, to his surprise, actually, I can't forget his view. He looked, it's Kenneth Gitonga Mbae, number 48 out of 48. He said, okay, he called me aside and said, okay. He didn't upgrade, he didn't invest more to get himself embarrassed. You know, I have the potential.
Yeah.
I can't remember how the conversations went, but at the end of the term, I got an award for most improved, and I've never gone back there. So there are instances of where he taught us many lessons.
Yes.
That's one. How to grace, how to read, how to talk to people, how to took us to various places. So he was a subtle disciplinarian and an explorer of sorts. So we were taken to various places. He didn't have a lot, but the little he had, he made me and my siblings experience life in a different way.
You know, I'm really happy that you're here because your story is the story of very many people. I mean, you're using the words, I used to graze cows. Your story is a majority of this country's story, especially rural till here. You get?
It's a normal story. If you grew up in the village, what should you do? You can't spend time sleeping. You wake up in the morning, people go to farm, you go watch, you can't farm.
Yes.
Too tiny, you go looking after cows. Or goats, yeah. It's normal.
You're what I call a beacon of hope.
Yeah.
If this is where your story is starting, and by the virtue of you sitting, I can see where it's ended, I'm excited to hear the rest of the journey. Okay, I've understood your home bringing.
Yes.
Your bringing. Now let's go into the next puzzle. I've understood the puzzle of home. This is a jigsaw puzzle and I'm putting different pieces.
Yeah.
The next puzzle is school. So when and where do you start school?
So to the best of my recollection, I started school at Kangaita Primary. There was nursery, then I went to class 1. I think then there was pre-unit, but I don't think I went. Then I went to class 1, then up to class 4. Those formative years, now that I understand them, my favorite teacher was, I have to mention her, Mrs. Moeti. I don't know what she did, but she has a lasting impact on my life. And my neighbors who took me to school because I was one of the youngest boys around, Gishuru and Gatwiri, they took me to school. They made sure that I go to school. She taught us how to sort of read, be high on discipline and just getting what you're taught to do, apply. So I did class 1 to 4. But in my entire village, there was a belief that maybe the best life and to give you a better opportunity, you end up in boarding school. I can count almost all the entire village. One way or another, we ended in a Catholic boarding school, a Methodist boarding school, but everyone went to boarding school one way or another. Not that there was much. So in class 4, I did interview, went to a radio visitation boarding school in Timau.
Before Timau, was your mom in this school? Was your mom, have you ever been in the same school as your mom?
No, as my dad.
Oh, yeah, sorry, as your dad.
No, yes, he was in the same school, yes. I was in the same school as my dad, but him was, I think, the upper levels. I've never interacted with him in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talk about going to Timau. First of all, I know, I went to school in Mount Kenya Academy, boarding.
Oh, yeah.
So I have an understanding of that side. Timau is a very unique place in this country.
Yeah.
With first of all, Laikipia County on its own. The fact that I get somebody, a Kenyan who lives in Laikipia County and can give us context of that, it's pretty interesting. Then Timau even, tell me a little bit about Timau. I feel like Timau is this mythical place that cars don't sort of pass after they get to Nanyuki.
It's an interesting place. It's I think it's the center of that ecosystem in being a food basket, but also produces, I think, the highest number of roses and French beans for export. So it's a farming town. It's anchored on a Catholic church. That's I think the biggest facility there. When we were in school, it was a bit remote, so it was not as attractive as it is today.
Yes.
But it was when you're there. Now that I see people excited to see the mountain, we didn't value the mountain. Mount Kenya, it's there. You can't be wasting time looking at it. You'll be considered idle.
Yeah.
But from there, you see the mountain very well. But also you see the ridges across. There are hills that are behind it. So it's in a valley, and it's very cold in the evenings and windy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. From a real estate perspective,
Yeah.
what makes, because you've talked about mountain features,
Yeah.
that's and scene.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will talk about Vipingo, which he has been very instrumental, in fact, foundational in bringing up Vipingo. Again, the beach. There's this thing about God-given features that is very important when it comes to real estate. There's a correlation between what God has created in terms of unique features and real estate. Just tell us a little bit about that.
So, of course, when you're selling real estate or when you're buying or looking at your home, if you look at people with property, when you start building your house, even in the village, they start taking into consideration how far is it from the road? What will I be looking at when I'm sitting outside the garden? So they take advantage of the feature. If it's facing a nice garden, they sort of orient their sitting area there. If it's facing the mountain, so you use those features to sort of orient how your house looks like. Now to commercialize it, that's what people tell you in Nairobi. On a clear morning, you can see Mount Kenya. On a clear afternoon, you can see Ngong. Yes. Of course, when you buy a property, you rarely be on the balcony, and they didn't say what time in the morning you can see Mount Kenya. So it's features that people used to sell along the coast anywhere in the world. You'll see they will try and take advantage of the beachfront and the ocean to tell you those are the views that when you're relaxed, when you're enjoying, you can have a perspective. And I think now when you're looking out there, I think the elders used to converge somewhere under a tree and think deeply where their communities would go. But I think they drew the inspirations from there.
One more question about your career. Are you involved in that? In basically, I think this is land scouting. When you're thinking about future projects for Centum RE, do you get to the nitty-gritty to the point of even land scouting and deciding if it's viable?
Yes, we do. That's the one of, because that is what guarantees growth. When you finish one project, you have to go elsewhere. Then where do you go? So you have to study population, because the people will have to stay in a home, and they spend 30 or 40% of their time at home. So you spend 8 hours at home. You spend the other 8 hours in the office or thereabout. So 90 or 95% of your time is in a real estate setup, office, gym, hotel. Then we take into consideration where would people want to stay relative to their place of work, because no one wants to spend so much time commuting to and from work, relative to where the schools are, where the hospitals are, where the shopping facilities are. Then you can map and see, okay, this might be too far for now from where people are, but in a few years' time, this place will grow. So we go there very early, and that's how we make our determination. Like Two Rivers in 2010, that was Ruaka, nothing exciting about it. It was Napier grass. But maybe the data showed that with the bypasses and with the growth of population, something would happen on that end. Wow. The same as all these neighborhoods, Kitengera and the rest, they were the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. And already I'm hearing you talk a lot about data. There's a lot of data that you get, but we'll go back. Now let's come back to Timau. So you go to school, now you're in boarding.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that school in terms of how it shaped you. Your class 1 to class 4, I already hear about this instrumental teacher, and I hear about the discipline.
Yeah.
What happens in this place in this next couple of years? And what year is it?
It's 1997, January. That was when El Nino was starting.
Wow.
I remember because, of course, when you're in boarding school, you're the ones who clean after yourselves. Yeah. You wash the classrooms.
And was it a mixed boarding school?
It was a mixed boarding school, but an exciting place. So if for those who may relate with me, when you're taking to boarding school, initially you're excited and you're happy about it. But there's something called homesick, where you feel so bad about yourself. But because you're a tough boy, you can't cry in public, but in private you weep a bit and then bring yourself to shape. But it taught you how to be self-reliant on your own. And it was a Catholic school, so in the morning you'd go for mass. And also I think there was another mass in the evening. Occasionally we'd be doing cleaning. You'd have to take care of everything and plan around yourself. Wow. So it taught me an element of self-reliance, and you had an extra time in the evening to do a bit of revision. But it was a very interesting place to be.
But this is the thing, and this is why I'm excited about your story. When I keep saying you sound like the normal Kenyan, the majority, you're not here telling me you are an A student. In fact, the story that you gave, you are far less than average.
Yes.
Is that the situation throughout school in terms of this Timau school? Were you a middle class?
No. Let me say I'm on the borderline there. My reports, if you look them, they'll be above average. Okay. But my own estimation, I'm there average with a lot of determination and drive. Yes. But I wasn't bad with books.
So what, you had to read a lot? Or did you, you know, there's some people who are just, we call them choppies, people who are naturally clever. And it's almost like they're naturally gifted. I don't know what it is. But what did you have to study hard for you?
Not as hard. Me, I did, when we were in class, I'm in class. When I'm outside the class, I'm also outside the classroom. So I just did what an average normal student would do. I would be there maybe number 4, there's something. Oh, number 4 is good, bro. There's maybe 3 occasionally.
You're not average. In fact, I take it back. You're the choppies.
No, I'm not choppies.
Number 3 out of how many in class?
Who is 48 or 50?
Bro, me, I was number 20. You are good. Okay.
Yeah.
But what did you like in school? Was there subjects that you were drawn to? This is still primary.
In primary, I was good in art and craft, you remember? A bit of math, English a bit, and science. But Swahili and the rest I wasn't good. Okay. There was a tough one, which was music, art and craft. The art bit I was good, but the music, no, that I wasn't good. Yeah. But we tried to blend the two. But boarding school was good, but no one who is in boarding school likes it when you're there. Now I can say it's good given what it taught me about self-reliance. But those who are there, don't like it. Yeah, because you're far away from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that you say home for you was a very pivotal place. Just one picture that I can't seem to see. How is the community around you? You see, I'm not hearing you talk about, in terms of not school now, at home.
Yeah.
What's the community like around?